we need to make this a bit more presentable. This article clearly is not long enough to fill an entire page. With some pictures, we can drag it up and fill out this much of the page. Make sure that that line that we've just moved is in line with the guide. So you can see how the pictures help squash it into place. To make this a bit more distinct, what we're going to do is draw a line underneath this, and you can just start by making it that big or whatever by using the line tool here. And then all we want to do is drag it over. We don't need to use shift to this, but you do want to use shift when you make it originally. Put it about in the middle, because once you get another text box in here, you will be able to snap it to it. And then drag it over to the end column there. As we zoom out, you'll be able to see there's a line underneath it. It looks fine. We could make that gap a bit bigger, but for now, we don't need to. There's still a lot of space though. Typically, one of the other techniques that we're going to use is getting a drop quote in. And this is just a quote from the piece that is good, that you make bigger, and so it's more obvious. We're going to be taking this quote and making it a drop quote. The first thing to note is that we don't have to replace where those words are actually in the article with a drop quote. We can put the drop quote wherever we want because it's such a good quote that we want people to see it. The first thing we're going to do is make another text box. The text box for this wants to be 1 column wide, and the text within needs to be Laura bold italic. It's going to be size 14. We're going to type in the quote. You can just generally copy paste it. We need to make this the section color. So you're going to highlight all that text, go to fill, and then the section color. And we can make that text box a bit smaller, and we can just plonk it in wherever we want. Doesn't have any text wrapping over it, so we need to give it some text wrap. Just give it the generic box text wrap, and then put it in like a big chunk of text. Typically I like to make sure that it's kind of at the end of a paragraph, so like it could go there. Just don't put it like there, you know, that looks stupid. It needs to interrupt the flow of text. Use the arrow keys to nudge it around, and then all you want to do is zoom in to make sure that it is actually in line. What we want to do next is add another text box with a big quote mark in it. What we want to do with this is format it firstly, Laura, bold, italic, and then we want to make this size 64. We need to make it the right color as well. Use your color swatch. So that we want to give this some text wrap. I've done something wrong here. So down in your space, you want to make the text box for your words, which we will type in here. That's our quote. Format it, Laura, italic, bold, and size 14 is also written in your section color. And then we make a new text box, which is just going to have a quote mark in it. You need to format this to be Laura, italic, bold. This time, however, the size is going to be delete 12 and put 64. And then you need to make this your section color as well. And then what you're going to do is basically just drag that. Don't give either box text wrapping yet. So if you put that there, make it that big-ish, depending on how long your quote is. Make a shape that kind of looks like that. So you've got the text box here, and you can make the text box smaller because your text is smaller. You've got these two text boxes that are separate. Hold shift select one, hold shift, select the other, and you'll select them both. Right click and you'll group, and go to group and you can group them, or press Control G. And that gives you basically this entire text box thing that you can then move around willy-nilly. You then want to give the grouped items a text wrap. And so we're just going to drag that up into the text. You want to pick a point that kind of is a break. At least that's the advice I give. This, like you can see here, is the end of paragraph, the new paragraph. Shove it in between. You can see where the drop quote is. That just gives it an extra bit of height and it pushes it out a bit more. You can see there's still, though, some space. So if we wanted, we could just drag this up just to show you, like, you can do a bit of playing around with the size of the page to really make it fit well. If you're moving stuff, you always want to check its edges are against, you know, those areas. And that's a reasonable amount of space to have left. That's fine. That's a finished sort of single article in its most basic form. You might not have that many images. You don't have to have a drop quote, but generally that's how it is wanting to look.
Walk like an Egyptian.